You are actually someone that I've wanted to have on because you're no stranger to podcasting yourself.
Yeah, I'm kind of a stranger to the English language, so
Yes.
please excuse any faults. But I'm no stranger to podcasting, having my own podcast with two minor colleaags of mine who witness my genius every month. I think you've mentioned the podcast. It's called Ach, Triumvirat für historisch inspirierte Humorvermittlung a couple of times before. And
Yes,
we have a kind of a comedy history podcast, but it's in German.
Yeah. In fact, I've mentioned it enough times for if I mention it again, people are going to start thinking that you're sponsoring me.
Yeah, which we definitely don't, because we don't have any money by ourselves. So everyone who knows me, I'm always broken. So
similar case for this podcast. So no one's sponsoring anybody, people. So Dominik, why have I got a German on my show?
Yeah, I kind of urged you doing this episode because every now and then I noticed that you have some, let's say, holes in your German nerd culture.
How dare you?
Yeah, so the other day you didn't know Werner Beinhardt, for example.
No.
You're not really aware of the complete work of Otto. And I think could be interesting angle for your audience as well to really tackle German culture. I would start with movies. So
yes, that's a good place for you to start. I will just say that at the beginning of this year, I did an episode about Loriot's Papa Antipotos, and that was a recommendation that came from you, Dominik.
Yeah, definitely, I love it. And so Loriot is not really known in the world, like on a global level, and that would be a perfect example of someone who is really, I mean, especially for me, but for many Germans, near and dear to our heart. And so he's with one of his movies, he's in the list actually of the list of top grossing movies in Germany. So that would be my starting point. So I have a list here of the most successful movies of all time in Germany, and they are I think to be included on the list, you have to be produced in Germany.
And this is actually something that I wanted to do before as well, and something I think that's and I would be interested to hear from the listeners if they want to hear more of this. And it started with the Laureate episode where I spoke about a movie, and I wanted to do more movies in the future. So it's perfect that you're talking about this today. But also, I want to go more into different aspects of German culture, because exactly like you said, Dominik, there's some aspects of sometimes someone dies and everyone's like, oh, this is a person. And I've been living in Germany for 13 years and I have no idea who that celebrity was that just died in Germany. And people are like, oh, he's much beloved and whatever. And I think it's a good thing to know when you're in the culture, because sometimes some references that you might not get if you don't know what the cultural reference behind it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you got the list of top grossing movies produced by Germany. So where does this list come from, by the way?
That's an excellent question. So
check your sources.
Check your
Always
sources.
check
What's
your
the source? It's, I think, InsideKino.de.
Okay.
So if you Google like attendance in Germany or globally, that's a trustful source over the years.
You can't get much wrong when you're talking about actual attendance figures or grossing, because the facts are the facts.
Yeah, the facts are the facts. So I mean, this goes way back. The list, I think it goes back to the 60s. And so when it comes to the 60s numbers, it's very clean numbers. So it's the number one in Germany has correct numbers, I'd say. It's 11.721183, and 2 and 3 are from the 60s actually, and it just says 10 million. No, but
just round it up to the
nearest. The Germans, we want to get our facts straight, but in this case, I guess it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Where are we starting?
Yeah, I think we concentrate on top 10-ish, but I see some patterns, and I really want to talk about the patterns more than about the actual movies, because a couple of names come again and again, and it could be a perfect starting point for this very first episode. So number 10 with 7 million attendance is Schulmädchenreport.
What?
Was Eltern nicht für möglich halten. So, are you aware what Schulmädchenreport is?
So no, but Schulmädchen is schoolgirl.
Yeah, schoolgirl
report. Report is a report.
So this is from 1970. And it's,
oh wait, hang on. Are we doing the top 10 pornographic movies?
No, but it's really. I mean, I was aware that it was a really big thing in the 70s, like sexual revolution, etc. But that's basically a soft sex movie. That's number 10 in Germany.
Well done, Germany.
Like with 7 million in attendance.
Schulmädchen report.
Schulmädchen report.
Amazing.
Yeah, so you definitely don't have to see it. It's completely.
No, it's on my list. It's on my list now.
I mean, these days everything in the afternoon is more. Yeah, you see more in the afternoon that probably in that movie. But at the time, it was really filthy. And, yeah, you spoke not freely about having seen that movie, but everyone had. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Is that one that you've seen and you have to confess that you've seen it?
Definitely.
All right.
Like
right.
back in the days, so like Sat.1 used, especially Sat.1 used to show like those kind of soft porn movies at 10 p.m. in the evening. So that was, I mean, that's completely gone. But when I remember when I was young, that was completely normal that this kinds of movies showed at 10 p.m. But I think nowadays with all the ways you can get content in the internet, that's really something which no one remembers anymore. But that one is really German. So
right.
it could be.
I'm scared to ask what's next.
The next one is quite undramatic. But I was really surprised that this is actually his most successful movie, and it's someone who you know as an actor and director who's often people make fun about him. It's Til Schweiger.
Til Schweiger.
Yeah, it's Til Schweiger's movie Honig im Kopf.
Okay.
Do you know that one?
Honey and Head.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never no.
Yeah,
I know Til Schweiger though.
Yeah, there's even a remake, I think, with Nick Nolte, and the German movie is just from December 2014, and
it's not so long ago.
Yeah, so I'm missing the name. It's with a very famous German actor, who plays someone who has dementia.
Okay.
So it's part sad and it's part comedy. Dieter Hallervorden. Do you know Didi Hallervorden? Dieter Hallervorden?
No.
He's especially known for very absurd movies, like comedy movies in the 70s. Yeah. Didi Hallervorden. And I think that's another person who, like every German at a certain age, knows Didi Hallervorden. And he's quite old now. And in this drama comedy from Til Schweiger from 2014, he plays an older man. And it's like what's it called if you have one last great hit?
I guess it's your swan song.
Yeah, swan song. So for Didi Hallervorden. And I was quite surprised that this is actually the most successful movie when it comes to attendance for Til Schweiger. But
yeah, me too. Because he had those zwei Ohr.
Yeah, Kein Ohrhasen and zwei Ohrhasen. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
it's actually quite clever, like from the naming. But Til Schweiger has a couple of hits, like in the top 35 of the best movies. Certainly not best movies, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
And the most successful has been that one from 2014. So number 8 and number 6, and they are almost on the same level when it comes to overall revenue. It's Fuck You Goethe.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and fuck you is obviously misspelled.
Yeah, phonetically spelled.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. Fuck you, Goethe.
And it's really, I mean, if you don't know Germans, like we have a certain, people have a certain picture about Germans in their head, and it's really surprising that most of the movie pictures in the top 10 are comedies and like really stupid ones. And Fuck You Goethe is a perfect example about that. German tendency for absurd comedy. And yeah, it's both movies are not really masterpieces, but they seem to hit a nerve, like in the mid 2010s.
Yeah, but I've read so many good things about both the movies, and people seem to be excited when the sequel came out. So I actually put it on a list that I need to see it. But I've just never gotten around to it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've seen both, but it's really most of the jokes are really what's it called? Plump, dump.
Yeah, but really lame, I guess.
Yeah, lame.
But this is the thing I have about most German comedies. I don't know if I've seen one that I would say I found funny the whole way through. There are sometimes, like even with Laureate, like I said in that episode, there are some moments that are absolutely brilliant where it was so funny that I just couldn't stop laughing. And sometimes I would think of it days later and I would still laugh at the scene.
Yeah.
But then there were other things in it where I was just like, what are you even doing?
Yeah, but that's this level of absurdity which Loriot is going for, and I love it.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I'm you know me. I have a tendency for absurdity. So
yes, you do, Dominik.
that's where I shine in those moments. but Fuck You Goethe is just more of a cheap sex related jokes mostly, I'd guess.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a perfect evening if you want to das Hirn durchspülen. Yeah.
What?
Do you know the expression, wenn du dein Hirn einfach durchspülen möchtest? If you want to.
Do you want to?
Like,
do you want to rinse your horn? Is that my understanding? Right?
If you don't want any challenge at all watching a movie, just let it fly by.
Okay. Oh, Hirn as in mind.
Like brain.
Hirn.
Yeah. You don't need any brain power to digest the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to those who are still interested, we have skipped number 7, but that's
to the 3 people still listening.
But so we come back to the number 7 later, because now it's number 5.
Ooh.
And number 5 is Otto, der Film.
Okay.
So, what do you know about Otto Walkes?
Very little. I know he influenced a lot of people when it came to comedy in Germany. But that's about it.
That's about it. So, when it comes to Otto Walkes, he's obviously no intellectual. He's just a comedian of the people.
Right.
And he's, as I mentioned, he's called Otto. He's Otto Walkes, but everyone knows him just by Otto. If you say Otto, then it's clear that you mean this comedian, which was born in 1948. So he's quite old. I mean, he's 70 by these days.
Yeah. I can almost guarantee that anyone who's been in the country for any amount of time knows him, because when I Googled him and I saw his face, I recognized him instantly. You know him from some stand-up that you've seen on German TV that you didn't understand or something like that. You definitely have seen his face.
Yeah, the thing is with Otto is that, I mean, the resonance for him is really mixed, because he's a parody by himself.
Okay.
So the way he speaks and his kind of humor, and he's yodeling, for example. And I mean, these days he's like I said, he's 70 now, so it's all a few volumes turned back. But
right.
When he was really big and it was coming through, like in the 80s, he was on. He turned it to 11. Yeah, and that's this. He had a couple of movies, theater movies in the 80s, when he was like on the height of his power. So 8.7 million Germans saw Otto, der Film in 1985.
Okay,
and I think he had a couple of more hits like that.
Okay.
And then he had tours in Germany with this comedy program, and he had a TV show, etc. And one day he even Germany had really problems with Iran one day, because he had once a joke in his TV show where he cut between his performance on stage and the speak of Ayatollah Khomeini. And then he cut this way that you saw a woman throwing her bra, and then the way they filmed it suggested that the Ayatollah picked that up,
right?
Like with real footage. And back in the 80s, like the German diplomat really had to show up at the Iranian diplomacy, and it was really a problem for a couple of days in the 80s.
Like an international incident.
It's really it's been an international incident. So yeah. I really like him. It was one of the first concerts I attended back in the days with my mother, and it's not for everyone, but Otto is definitely someone you have to know. So are you aware? I think we speak about the top 10, but on just closing in on the top 10 at 11 is Sieben Zwerge, Männer allein im Wald. It's Seven Dwarfs. It's another very silly German comedy, and that's also from Otto. So Otto is one of the Seven Dwarfs. Right. And I think it's the same category as Fuck You Goethe. So this is, I mean, if my mother and her Skatgruppe, her skat playing group want to see a movie, then this kind of movie. Like if everyone is buzzing about it and it's just not very deep and you have to see it and every housewife sees it, this is exactly the most successful stuff in Germany.
Right. Otto. Good to know.
Yeah.
So that was at number 5.
Yeah. So basically, I was really surprised about the top 4. Do you have any clues? Because they are, the top 4 movies are in some way or the other all related. So which movies? And I know we spoke about comedies so far, but what do you think? What's your gut feeling? What could be the most successful movies in German history?
Are they recent or older?
I can give you, like, the most successful movie was from 2001. Then 2 come in from the 60s. And then the 4th is 2004.
What?
And we just have 2 directors in the top 4. And all the movies are connected.
All the movies are... wow. All the movies are connected and... I have no idea. I
mean,
like
for me, it was really fascinating.
This.
So it was nothing that was. I'm just connecting the dots was really interesting for me, though nothing is really a great surprise. I have to start with number 1 from 2001. It's a parody. It's Der Schuh des Manitou.
Der Schuh des Manitou.
Have you ever seen?
I've never even heard of.
Never even heard of. No. Oh, really? Oh, well, that's
I've never even heard that title. This is how much of a German... No wonder you wanted to get on my show, because I'm completely clueless. This is the top grossing movie.
I mean, I was like, how old was I? I was 20 when this movie came along, and it was a complete sensation.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, everyone saw it twice. Like, it felt like that. So it's only
what does the title mean?
11.7 million in attendance, but for Germany, that's huge. That's really something. It's a parody movie. It's based, and that's the connection, and that's really interesting. It's based on number 2 and number 3 on that list from the 60s. Really? And that's where my hole is, because I've never watched any of the movies from 2 and 3, and many more on the whole list of 35 most successful movies. What could be number 2 and number 3?
From the 60s?
From the 60s.
There's no chance. I don't think there's any.
I don't think you have a chance. No. Are you aware of Winnetou?
No. I'm just getting deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole.
Okay.
What German culture?
Karl May is it's one of the most successful German authors of all time.
Okay.
He sold 200 million copies worldwide, not only in Germany. And so Karl May, and we have what a coincidence that we have a A-Folge about him.
Oh, there we go.
We can link that in show note. Wink, wink.
Link to that.
Yeah, so Karl May visited the US in the late 1900s, and he wrote about his endeavors in the Wild West. So he said this is the quintessential Wild West story.
Right.
So and Winnetou is a very very ideal Indian.
Okay.
Native American.
Right.
And his friend Old Shatterhand. Have you ever heard about Old Shatterhand?
Old Shatterhand, I've heard the name. I've heard that name as a character name, but I don't think I knew the context of where it came from.
Okay, so Winnetou was then played by Pierre Brice, a French nobleman and actor, according to Wikipedia. And Old Shatterhand was played by Lex Parker. Both are extremely well known in Germany to this day. Yeah. And I mean, I was aware that those movies are extreme cult and were extremely successful, but I wasn't aware that they have been such a blockbuster in the 60s.
And that they're still beating out lots of movies that have come out since then, like in decades, several decades since then.
So they like the original series movies based on the work of Karl May are Winnetou. The first Winnetou, it's ranked number 3 with 10 million, and then Der Schatz im Silbersee, it's number 2, also with 10 million. Mm-hmm. And Der Schuh des Manitou, it's just a parody of Winnetou.
That's it.
It's just an absurd. It's just an absurd parody of Winnetou.
It's but this is kind of a. I mean, we're talking about the top-grossing movies of all. We're not just talking about the top-grossing comedy movies.
No, it's
we're talking about the top-grossing German movies.
So later in the list, there would be Der Name der Rose und Das Parfüm, like serious movies. But yeah.
And what about? I mean, was it Das Leben der Andere, or the movie that won all the Oscars?
I think
was that a German-produced movie as well?
Yeah,
or is that,
absolutely.
That's German-produced.
But it's been not successful commercially in that way. So I think the most well-known movie is Goodbye Lenin.
Yes.
That was quite a hit. It's on rank 14 with 6.5. But as I said before, there are many comedies.
It's incredible, and it's so funny that the number 2 and 3 are then they gave number 1 its success. It's because it's a parody of the 2 and 3.
Yeah, so I highly recommend to watch Der Schuh des Manitou with your children. It's completely absurd.
Yeah. Do you need to have watched the other 2 that it's based on, or that it's parody?
I mean, that's the thing. I haven't.
So this is a classic. You can enjoy it as a standalone.
It's a classic example of if you watch the parody before the original stuff.
Yeah, that's the movie.
That's the movie, and I have to confess that I watched the Rambo movies after I saw Hot Shots.
Oh yeah, that's a good example of that actually.
It's kind of the same, yeah. But if you ever want to watch Winnetou, I've never seen that, so here I can watch it together. But funny fact. So Pierre Brice, who plays the noble Winnetou, the Native American, he hated the parody when it started, and so it started originally in the Bully Parade. So the director of the Schuh des Manitou is Michael Bulli Herbig. It's a German comedian. And do you know the Bully Parade? It was extremely successful TV show in the late 90s. And basically, they one of their running gags was a parody of Winnetou. And then based on that, they did the movie based on the TV show sketch. So it's the movie is basically based on a TV show sketch, which is based on the work of Karl May.
I definitely need to watch this movie. I 100%. If it's the top grossing movie, I need to see what the fuss is all about. But now you missed out number 7, didn't you?
No, number 4. And I said like the top 4 are all the top 4. Yeah, number 7 is you're absolutely right. But number 7 is another one of the Karl May movies. It's called Old Shatterhand. Like
so that's
a spin-off only with Old Shatterhand. So they've actually got
3 of those in the top 10.
In the top 7, actually.
Top 7.
Like
amazing.
If three serious ones, and then the parody at number 1.
Okay.
So from 7 most successful movies in German history, 4 are based around Karl May. And I said previously that number 4 is also related to the other 3, and it's another movie which is originally a sketch from the Bully Parade.
Okay.
It's a Traumschiff Surprise, Periode 1.
It sounds like a parody of some kind of Star Trek or something?
Yeah,
or is it?
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's basically it's Enterprise, Star Trek, but they are extremely homosexual. I mean, I'm not quite sure how the viewing would be today. Like if you have other standards, like even 15 years ago, it was probably a little more. But they are never really judging in a negative way, but they are very tuntig all the way. It's just a gay enterprise. Yeah. And, yeah. Again, who would have thought, like, if you came from South Africa to Germany, who would have thought that a parody movie about a gay enterprise crew could be the fourth most successful movie in German history?
That is incredible. I mean, I think this is very indicative of what I've seen about German movies. Because when I moved, do you know what the first movie I saw in German cinema was, by the way?
No, I have no idea. Which year?
It was 2007. And it's a bit embarrassing for me to admit now, but the first German movie, and now I'm going to need to think of what it was called. Oh, it was a movie called Vollidiot with a guy named Oliver Pocher.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's another classic example of silly German humor.
Yeah, it is exactly. And that was my first taste of it, actually.
Yeah.
When I could only understand very little German at that time, so I didn't even get 66% of the jokes. It just went over my head. But I still laughed because it was slapstick and it was pretty lame. But then I realized, okay, I thought that's just that movie. But the more I see of German movies, I mean, I think that the other German movies that I've seen are a lot better than Vollidiot. But it's just so indicative of what Germany likes to watch. Dominik, thank you very much for coming on. I think this is very enlightening and helpful, and I definitely, depending on the feedback that I get from listeners, would love to have you back on, because there's so much that we can talk about, and I think that helps people to understand the kind of culture that they're living in, and hopefully will make them understand some references or things that they hear around them. So, very, very cool. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.